let's start, right? Today, whatever we have done, or yesterday, this was the question that was given for homework, correct? Directly tell me what is the tax liability?
39,200.75.
200,
39,200.75.
201 pounds, correct? 200.75 means 201 pounds. Everyone getting the same answer?
Yes, sir.
Alvina, what do you say? Himang, did you give it a try? Tell me. Okay, Himang, go on. Alvina done? Okay, sure. So 43,129. How did you get 43,129? See, first 2000 at 20%. Let me do it. 2000 at 20%, correct? Then in your savings income, 3,000 will be taxed at 0%, correct? Albana, you must have done the mistake of taking dividend income rates. You must have messed up, correct? Then as 160, 1,000 is the net income, correct? But the what? Tell me, from the net income, what will be deducted? Tell me. PA,
Personal allowance.
right? But so for the personal allowance, so 2,000 pe to working will not happen. So net income 2,000, 100 and 2,000, correct? And 57,000, right? Minus PA available is how much? Reduced PA, tell me. Reduced
7070.
7270. So first 2,000
7070.
707, 2,000 year and 5070 year, correct? So how much will it be here? Tell me.
96,930.
96,930 and 57,000, correct? Total is how much?
153,930.
153,930. Yeah. So with this is taxable income. Now tell me, are you a higher rate band, additional rate band, or basic rate band taxpayer? Tell me.
Additional.
Additional rate band taxpayer.
Higher
So
rate.
higher or additional? 153,930.
So
So extension of bands.
Sorry.
Extension of bands by the GPPC.
Extension of bands by the GPPC and GGAD by how much? 50,000. Correct.
Yes.
So what will happen? Tell me. You will have 500 ka what available with you. So first 5,000 at 0%, then 500 at 0%. बराबर है क्या? Because there is extension of bands. Extension of bands are what? 0 to 37,700 becomes how much? 0 to 87,700. Correct, no? 87,701 to how much now? Tell me.
175,140.
So you are what? A basic rate, not basic but higher rate band taxpayer, correct? 5,500. Now the things are done. Remaining how much? 96,930 में से 5,500 taxed. How much remaining? 91,000. 91,430. Correct. Out of this, how much falls within the first 37,700? Tell me. Or what? 87,700. Sorry, first 87,700. How much?
82,200.
82,200. And remaining, how much goes into the higher rate band?
9230.
9 to 3. This at 20%. This at 40%. Correct. Now coming to dividend income. Correct. Dividend income you have 57,000, which is fully covered in what? Tell me. At how much? 8.75, 33.75 or 39.35? Tell me.
This dividend nil rate band, right?
Dividend declared band first 500, correct or not?
Yeah.
At 0% and remaining 49,500. Remaining
No.
49,500.
6,500.
6,500. Okay. Remaining 56,500. Barabar. 56,500 at what rate? Tell me. 33.75. No? That is how it is. Correct. Done. total I think is 39201. Himank, आया क्या बेटा ये आंसर? Did you get the same answer?
सर एक्चुअली मैंने बैंड एक्सेशन भूल किया था.
हाँ, एक्सटेंशन ऑफ बैंड 0 पे किया, तो मे बी
Yes.
दैट माइट बी द इशू. ठीक है. Chances of this being asked in exam very low. Correct. Still, some or the other where a small calculation may be required to this effect. Can I go ahead? Personal allowance done. Now I'm continuing in the new notes. Okay. Sure. So can we go ahead to marriage allowance? Tell me. First, but write some things that we need to understand. This is what individual taxation. What is better? Have a look. I hope it is visible. Taxation of spouse plus children. Correct. That is taxation of families. Right. Can I go ahead? Tell me. I hope the OneNote is visible to you.
Yes, it is.
So whenever, now see, we have done or talked about this in UK tax as well. Whenever you buy a property and both spouses are what? Tell me. Owners of the property. Correct. What happens? Tell me. How do you assume them to hold the property? Will it be 50-50, 80-20, 10-90, 40-60? How do you assume the breakup of ownership? Tell me.
So 50-50.
50-50. So it is basically what? Write down whenever both spouses buy a property, together on joint name, the default ownership is 50-50. That is equal ownership. But can spouses change this percentage? क्या बोलते जनता, public? But can they do it without any intimation to HMRC or to the taxation authorities? Tell me. They have to elect, right? That means they have to communicate. They have to elect. That means they have to communicate this to HMRC if they want to change the percentage of ownership. Correct. It should be if they want to change the percentage of ownership, it should be elected and communicated to HMRC. By default, it is what? 50-50, right? Can I go ahead? Now tell me, now see, the husband and wife, out of that husband or wife is earning, right? And husband is a stay at home, what? Tell me, husband. हो सकता है, happens, right? So wife is earning, she has a lot of income, she has done some investments and something, correct? And what she does is basically earns a lot of income and she has a lot of savings and dividend income, right? Because of which she has to pay a lot of taxes. There are two ways, right? So if I say, so if there is Mrs. A who's having 50,000 pounds NSI, SI is 10,000 pounds. She's owning some what interest sensitive assets, correct? And DI is 5,000. Some shares she owns, right? There are two ways, right? One is what that boss, what Mrs. A can do that. See, Mr. A has somewhere around 5,000 income here, correct? Now, if this savings income and dividend income is taxed in the hands of Mrs. A, correct? It will be taxed at what rate? Tell me. 20%, 40%, or 45%? Tell me. 40%. But if this 15,000 income is transferred to Mr. A, it will be taxed at what rate in the hands of Mr. A? How much will it become? 20,000. This will be taxed at what rate? Tell me. This 15,000 will be taxed at 20%. So can you save tax as a what? So what Mrs. A could do? Whichever is the investment on which she gets this 10,000 ka what? Income, or shares on which she gets dividend of 5,000. Can she transfer it into the hands of Mr. A, right? And get the whole income taxed at 20% and not at 40%? Is this a way to go? Tell me yes or no. What do you say, everyone?
Yes,
Does
sir.
this make sense or no? So a gift, sir, then if you are giving a gift and if it is an asset, then a CG or chargeable gain should arise on this, correct? Whenever an asset or investment is sold, sir, chargeable or shares are sold, chargeable gains will arise. Any gift between spouses, correct? That is husband and wife will be fully what? Tell me, exempt. No CG will arise on gifts between spouses. Are you okay with it? Tell me. Any problem? Can I go ahead then? Sure. So write a note for this. So what will be the note that we should write? Tell me. Bolo, bolo. What should be the note? Write down. Whenever a asset, an asset is transferred between spouses, it is an exempt transfer and no CG arises on the same. Example write down. Mr. A has NSI, taxable income. Correct. Has NSI 50,000, SI 10,000, DI 5,000. Correct. And write down here, Mrs. A has only NSI of 5,000. Correct. So here you could draw a diagram like this. You could say taxed at 40%. Instead, if transferred to Mrs. A, 10,000 and 5,000. Taxed at what rate? Tell me. No CG on transfer of asset. Will you understand this? Tell me. Or you want to write full sentence below? Tell me. Is this okay? What do you say, Arshi? Okay. Then we move on to marriage allowance. Write down heading marriage allowance. We have the marriage allowance ka chart ready with us. So we don't need to worry a lot. Have a look at, give next heading marriage allowance and say chart available in notes. Correct. देखो मैरिज अलाउंस का चार्ट आई एम जस्ट पेस्टिंग हियर. Is it visible? Tell me. Marriage allowance. What is marriage allowance? Have a look. Now what happens in marriage allowance? First, let's talk about the situation of marriage allowance. When does marriage allowance arise? First thing though, we have to understand that same situation that is up here, correct? For a second, say that NSI, SI and DI, correct? Both or better. I'll give you an example below. Mr. A has taxable income, correct, as NSI 15,000, SI 12,000 and DI let's check 10,000. कितना हो रहा है 37,000. Mrs. A has taxable income only SI of let's say 5,000 pounds, right? Is it okay? Have a look. Is the full screen available to you? Right. So MA transfer can only happen if both spouses are what? Tell me. basic red band taxpayers. Have a look at both the spouses. Are they basic red band taxpayers? Just have a look. Tell me yes or no.
Yes.
Or are they both are what? One is 37,000 and the other is 5,000. Are they both basic red band taxpayers? Is the income within 37,700? Yes. Then an election of transferring 1260 fixed is to be made from one spouse to the other spouse. From Mrs. A. Now see, logically speaking, who would have unutilized what? Tell me. Allowance or personal allowance that is there. Will Mr. A have or Mrs. A have the unutilized personal allowance? Tell me.
Yes.
Mrs. A.
Mrs. A. So Mrs. A ka unutilized personal allowance, right? But here the catch is that first preference is given to this 1260 and you have to elect. It is not what? Tell me. Something that is compulsory to be done. It is an election or an option that is given to you. You have to choose the option that boss whether I should do it or not do it. Correct or not? And it is not something that is compulsorily given by law. Correct? So 1260 will be transferred from the PA. Now let's say I'll take a better example. Okay. Now come here. Another example, you could write this example. Net income. Correct. This is of Mrs. A. Correct. Net income में you have NSI 25,000, SI 15,000 and DI 2,000. Correct. Mrs. A में you have NSI net income NSI of 7,000. Correct. Have a look. Makes sense. So how much is the NSI here? Sorry, total net income here. Tell me. 42, na? Now tell me, this is 42 and this is total net income is how much? Tell me. 7,000. Correct. Tell me, are both the spouses basic red band taxpayers? Basic red band taxpayer or type of taxpayer depends on net income or taxable income.
Taxable income.
Taxable.
You decided on what basis? Net income. So net income में से what do you deduct? If I say no GPPC, no GGAD, what will you do? Minus what will happen from here? Tell me. Personal allowance. Now 42,000 is the net income, correct? No GPPC, no GGAD. ANI is also how much? Tell me. 42,000. In that case, how much is PA available to you? Tell me. PA how much available?
12,570.
12,570 fully available. Deduct it. How much is the taxable income now? Tell me. NSI, how much you will use against NSI fully? 12,570. So how much will be remaining in NSI? Tell me.
22,430.
कितना? 12,430 ना?
Sir,
नहीं.
29230.
SI कितना? Tell me. 15,000 fully available. DI कितना? 2,000 fully available. How much is the total taxable income? कितना है? 12 plus 27 and 2. 29,430.
Yes, sir.
Everyone okay? And here the PA will be used how much? Now here there is a catch. Okay. Here you see an opportunity. When you saw Mrs. A is working, here you see a very good opportunity that boss 7,000. So is there an unutilized PA that is there? Tell me yes or no. Unutilized PA that is there. Correct. So you say that boss Mrs. A ka PA calculation mein. Sir, there is unutilized PA. No problem. How much is available PA? Tell me. 12,570. Correct. Now tell me first. Again, I'll ask you whether both the spouses are basic red band taxpayer, higher red band taxpayer, or additional red band taxpayer. First condition of marriage allowance, is it fulfilled or not fulfilled? Tell me. Now fulfilled. Total taxable income is 29,430. Chalo. So are you now okay with this fact? Tell me. Okay. Chalo. So how much is the PA then? Tell me. Now see, PA is full 12,570, but is the full utilization going to happen? No. So what you do? You elect to use how much? You transfer MA, marriage allowance, of how much? 1260 pounds from Mrs. A to Mr. A, correct? And how much is now remaining in the hands of Mrs. A? You are going to transfer 1260. So how much is remaining? Tell me.
11310.
11,310 pounds, correct? This is the PA available after marriage allowance, correct? Now out of which 7,000 will be used here. Okay with it? Tell me. 0 will be your taxable income. Now sir, how will, so then you should have deducted 12,570 plus 1260, no? From your PA? No. How will the PA go? From here when you are going, okay. So what will happen? From here, right? From here, when the MA goes from year to year, right? What will happen here, right? It starts as an income allowance, but ends up being what? A tax allowance. Ends up being what? A tax allowance. So what happens generally here is you calculate tax in the case of what? Chalo, calculate tax in the case of Mr. A. Tell me how much is the tax? Do the calculation. Tell me how much is the tax in the case of Mr. A. Tell me. How much is the tax? Do the calculation. How much is the tax? Tell me. NSI pe how much? NSI, how much is the tax? Full 12,430 at what rate? Tell me.
20%.
20%.
2486.
2,
486.
2486. Then on this 15,000, first 1,000 or first 500 at 0%? Tell me.
1000.
1,000. SI में 1,000 at 0%. Remaining 14,000 at what rate? 20%. Correct. So how much is it? Tell me.
2,800.
2,800. Then go ahead. DI. First 500 or first 1,000 or first 2,000? Tell me. First 500 at 0%. Then remaining how much, re Baba? 1,500 at 20%, 8.75%, 40%, 33.75%, 45% or 39.35%. Tell me.
8.75.
8.75%. What do you say? How much is that? 1,500, 8.75?
131.
131 pounds. So total tax liability is how much? Tell me. NSI 2486, 2800, 4,286 and 131. How much is that?
5417.
5,417 pounds. Correct. 5,417 pounds. Okay with it? Now this, what? Tell me. Marriage allowance now is converted into a tax allowance. The 1260 into 20%, that is 252, will be allowed as a tax allowance. And how much will be your tax payable? That is there. Tell me. 5,417 minus 252 gives you how much? 5,000.
165.
So, sir, this 252 and 1260 amount is fixed? Yes. That cannot change at all. Right? And sir, once you decide to transfer from one spouse to another spouse, the transferor, right, the one who's transferring, will have only 11,310 worth of MA available with them, right? And the transferee spouse, that is receiving spouse, will not get what? Income allowance. It will get what? Tell me. A tax allowance of 1260 into 20% fixed. Correct. So have a look at the three things that are here. Read this. Does it make sense? Transferor spouse will have a P available of how much? 11,310, which can be utilized against his own net income. Transferee spouse, that is MA receiving spouse, will utilize MA as tax allowance at 1260 into 20%, £252 fixed amount. Any problem here? MA will only come if both the spouse will do a what? Tell me. If they both decide that they want to go ahead with it, correct? But if they decide that they don't want to go ahead with it, then tell me, will you be doing it? Tell me. No. Now, one more last question that I want to do. I hope you have done this question. Tell me. This question you solved. Sure. Can I go ahead? Now, let's say Mr. A has only NSI. This is taxable income. 45,000, 45. Have a look. Taxable income is 35,000. Mrs. A, right, also has NSI, taxable income. $12,000. Correct. Both elect to transfer MA. How will it work out? Tell me. See, on this taxable income, Mr. A will do first, right? Tax will be at what rate? Direct 20% on 35,000. That will be how much, Baba? Tell me. 7,000. Barabar na re? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
Personal allowance.
Abhi come to Mrs. A. This is Mrs. A, correct? Mrs. A ka taxable income is how much? 12,000, correct? From this, taxable income I gave, okay? Sorry, not taxable income. 1 minute. Take net income. Take what? Tell me. Net income. ये net income ले लो, net income. Right? Chal. So they both decide to what? Transfer. NSI of what? So is there unutilized PA? Tell me. Unutilized PA hai? Tell me yes or no. What do you say? Unutilized PA is there or not?
A little, yes.
Yes. So you have elected. So for Mrs. A, what will happen? Mrs. A, PA card deduction. She has what? Tell me. 12,570 available, out of which 1260 you have transferred, correct? 1260 you transfer. How much is remaining for you? 11,310. So from your net income, how much will be deducted? Tell me. 11,310, and remaining 690 will be your taxable income. Kaam khatam. Now here, from this 7,000, correct? What will happen? You will have an MA of what? 252 available to you. From here, this 1260 transfer. On this, tax at 20%, 690 pay. Correct? 690 pay 20%. Here, how much will it be out of 7,252 goes? 6,848. 6.8 या 6.7 ना 6.7 ना 6.748. Mm-hmm. 6.748 ना रे, और यहाँ पे 690 का 20% would be how much? Are you getting what did I do?
138.
There is unutilized PA, so you elect. So you are left with only how much? 11,310. What do you say?
Even if
Harpreet?
it is not unutilized, still they can transfer.
Still they can transfer, but that does not make sense at all, no?
Hmm.
Then you have to pay. हाँ, थोड़ा सा unutilized है, right? You say what tax year and year. See, 11,310 के ऊपर if you have income, right? थोड़ा सा can be used year. बोल के you transfer है थोड़ा सा taxable year. That is how it will be, right? So what it wants to say is 11,310 is the amount, right, of PA that can be utilized once you decide, right? If it is more than 12,570 net income of the transferor spouse, it does not make sense at all, right? चलो, can we go ahead? Marriage allowance done. There is one question. If you want to do what? Tell me. A bit of practice, right? There is one question that you can solve.
So can you show the previous example also? Just take
Yeah.
a screenshot.
This one.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Done. Done, sir. Thank you.
Let me just give you a example for homework. You could try it. Where did it go? PA and MA. MA का example you have to do, no? Same type of example I've taken, but if you need, you can solve this question as well. Have a look at this question. Yeah. Is this question visible to you? And when I say married spouse, yeah, spouse, it means what? Tell me. Civil partnership as well as married spouse. this you can surely have a look. You can give it a try today. Okay. Will you be able to do it? Homework. All the three options, same like what I have done. Same thing is there, right? Then going ahead, right? Write down taxation of minor child. This is new in ATX. It is an ATX syllabus part, not tax syllabus part. It is not an extension of UK tax. It is new part of ATX. Now let's talk about this a bit. Then we'll go into the writing of this. Okay. आ जाओ. Now see, 2 or 3 things will be added here, right? Or 2 or 3 things are discussed here. What are the 2 or 3 things that have been discussed here? Hear me out. Now, first thing is, sir, PA of any person, is it available only after he becomes 18 years, 14 years, 12 years, 10 years, 2 years, 1 year, or how is it? Now see, you see these all children being what actors in these advertisements, correct? Generally you see, or certain children doing certain what 4 or 5 year old doing some shows or some internet videos from which they get certain income. Malum hai? Tell me, have you seen that? Even the part where recently you saw Geo Hotstar name, www.geohotstar.com. Was there a lot of what? Tell me. Controversy on that? Tell me. That name was taken up by someone and gifted to some YouTube channel. 2 kids on the YouTube channel. And probably Geo Hotstar would have given a lot of money to get that name. Correct or not? geohotstar.com domain name that was there, right? So 1 or 2 things that we need to understand before we go into this. Can minor children, abhi to with the advent of what? Wonder kids, correct? Small kids. Abhi to now in IPL also, there's a 13-year-old who's going to come up and play in the IPL in Rajasthan Royals team, right? So can minor children have income? Yes. Will they have PA? Yes. Right. In the Indian context of things, all these kids are there. UK में तो more advanced kids are there, right? So can we have people or minor children can have their own income? Yes, right? Will PA be available to them? Yes. A newborn will also have a PA available to themselves, right? So PA will be available to everyone, correct? But what about the income? Now see, 2 types of income. Whatever we talked up till now is what? They are using their own talent, correct? And they are earning income. But it may not be true in all cases. The second type of case is what? Now see, let's say someone has a child, okay? Right? And what he does is he earns every year whatever salary he earns, and certain money he puts as a deposit in the name of the child. The child is still 2 years old only, right? But you start a investment in his name, right? The investment in his name is in his name, and the interest is the income for that small child, 2 3 years old, whatever it is, right? In that case, now see the 2 things I talked about, right? One is what? Tell me. If you have normal income because of some talent, because of some work that you do as a child, correct? Right? That is taxable in the hands of the child, correct? PA is available since birth. These are the 2 points that we talked about. But when it comes to what? Where the parent does some investment in the name, it is the income of the parent, but parent is doing what? Investment in the name of what? The child. That boss, when he or he will receive what? Every year he will receive interest, correct? That will be used against his own what? Expenses, because every year child has certain expenses. Now see, there are also investment, I don't know whether you know this, there are investment policies where when a child is born, if you start an investment, correct, or if you deposit some lump sum amount, one of my friend has done it, right? That he deposited some 8 or 9 lakh rupees when their child was born, and it is in such a way designed that when he becomes, let's say, 3 or 4 years, at that time you have to get him admitted into a school, correct, or pre-primary or something. At that time he will get 1 lakh rupees. So today when he is born, 9 or 10 lakh rupees he has invested, right? Third year he will get some 1 or 2 lakh rupees for his admission in okay, pre-primary, primary, whatever you say. Then after 2 years he will again get 1 or 2 lakh rupees, correct, because what, first second standard admission, correct. Then after 10 years he will get somewhere around 10 lakh rupees. Why? 11th, 12th or BCom ka admission, correct or not, or whatever he wants to do, right? And after 2 years after that he'll get more 10 lakh rupees. So he is going to invest 10 lakh now and is going to get 24 lakhs over next 15 years, right? So this investment and this return, right, all this, will it be taxable in the hand of the child because all the investments are done in the name of the child, or will it be taxable in the hands of the parent? That is the issue. What do you think? In whose hands should it be taxed? Janta, what do you say? See, who is doing the investment? Parent or child from his own money?
Parent.
If the child was not there, the investment would have been in the name of whom? Tell me. Parent. So logically, if any income is earned from that, in whose hand it should be taxed? Parent. That is what the loss is. Correct? Loss is what? That if it is what? Tell me. Parent who is doing the investment, right? And there is a income earned, but it is in the name of whom? Minor child. Correct? Right? And the interest is earned and enjoyed by the parents. Right? Now you will say, sir, investment now. Ek kaam karte. Let's make a trust. Can you make a trust? You remember IHT? You make a trust for your relative, correct or not? Sir, let's make a trust, and in that trust, let's invest the money, correct? And we will get interest on that investment, correct? Right? That also will not be taxable in the hands of the child. It will be taxed in the hands of what? Parent. Going ahead also, again, when we come to taxation of trust, this will be again covered, correct? Right? But now, what is the law saying? Law has two things there, right? What are the two things? Simple. If the income received is less than 100 pounds, correct? The income received on the investment by the parent is less than 100 pounds, then it will be taxable in the hands of the child. If it is more than 100 pounds, it will be taxed in the hands of whom? Tell me. Parent, right? Or if the child is what? Under 18 and unmarried, right? So it will be what? Tell me. Under 18. Income derived from a source set up by a parent is taxed on the parent, not the child, unless it is what? He is under 18, or it is what? Tell me. Less than 100 pounds. So have a look, write down. Not very important from ATX point of view as well. I have not seen too many questions asked on this. If child earns any income from his own talent or work, taxed in the hands of child, correct? Plus PA available in full to child. When I say child, so less than 18 years. But if child any income from investment setup by the parent. Example, deposit, gift to trust or shares. Gift to trust or gift of shares, ऐसा लिखो, gift of shares, right? Gift of shares. Then in that case, make two parts out of it. If income is less than 100 pounds, tax in the hands of child. But if income less than equal to if income is greater than 100 pounds, whose hands it will be taxed? Tell me.
Parent.
Tax in the hands of parents. Hello, tell me. Done? Have a look at one of the question. Can we do this question? Tell me. What do you say? Question is visible to you? Tell me. Chal. So Kate has the following income: outgoings are and allowances for the year ended 5th April 2025. She is married to Norman. Correct. Salary is what? 41,000. How much? 550. Correct. Benefit taxable as employment income 1875. Taxed. Correct. Then allowable expense of employment will be deducted. Correct. Bank interest. Will it be taxable as NSI, SI or DI? Tell me. Bank interest. NSI, SI or DI?
SI.
SI. Building society interest. Interest from an ISA account. Have you done the ISA account yet? Is the interest from an ISA account taxable? Right now I'll tell you. It is exempt. It is what? Exempt. So this will be exempt. Okay. Write down. I'll give you ISA account details. Don't worry. Okay. So let's say Kate's computation. So first salary, right? In that you have your basic salary plus benefits minus allowable expenses, right? So how much is the salary taxed as NSI? Tell me. 41,550 plus 1875 minus 95. Tell me how much is the amount? Tell me quickly. How much is the amount? कितना है? So how much it is? 41,550 plus 1875 minus 95. Tell me how much is that?
43,330.
330. Then bank interest, right? As SI. Bank interest plus building society interest. Correct? Both of them in total, how much are they? 2650.
4765.
4765. 47, are?
4765.
4765. Correct? Interest from ISA exempt. Correct? So you write nothing. You write 0, go ahead. Correct? Exempt likho ya 0 likho, both of them works. Correct? I'll write 0 only. Here I'll write exempt. So tell me how much is the net total income? Tell me.
48095.
48
095.
48095. Correct. But have a look at the next paragraph that is written. Aja. Norman and Kate have a son, Mathis, age 10, right? Mathis was given 5,000 pounds of 3.5% gilts on 6th April 2024 as a birthday present by Kate. So 3.5% on the 5,000. How much will be received by Mathis? Tell me.
175 pounds.
175 pounds. Is it more than 100 pounds? Tell me yes or no. So it will be taxed in whose hands? Tell me. Whose hands will it be taxable? Who?
Parents.
Parents. So parents may, if Kate and so we have given only Kate ka details. So Kate ke isme hi we will tax what? The child income. Kar lo tax. So increase that amount there. How much should be increased? Tell me. 175 nare. Tell me. So how much will be your new? Tell me SI income. Tell me.
4940.
49. Take minute. How much is this? 4940.
40.
And how much is total income now? Tell me.
48270.
From this, what will be deducted? Total income may say generally QIP or loss leave. There is no QIP or loss leave that is given here. Correct? But come to the part, they have given one more part. some property income also. Have a look here. What about this property income? On 15 November 2024, Norman and Kate jointly bought a property that has been let out as unfurnished accommodation. The taxable property income for the tax year 24-25 is 4,100. बराबर है क्या? Now, what should we do about this income? Tell me. What will it be? Taxed as. Tell me. पहले तो is it a property income? Yes or no? Correct. It will be taxed as what? Somewhere here in between as property income. बराबर बोल रहा हूँ? Tell me. Okay, makes sense. Tell me. But now, if no declaration has been made in respect of the source of income, right? What will be the by default sharing of this 4,100?
50.
50.
50-50. So how much will be taxed in the hands of Kate? Tell me.
2050.
2050. Correct. So that brings your NSI total income to how much? Tell me. And your 48,270 to how much? What do you say, Himang? Okay with it? Tell me. 45,318 अरे and ये कितना आएगा? 50,000 something. How much is this?
50,320.
Correct. Okay with it. But if here they had said that Kate and Norman have decided 80:20 का ratio, what would you have done? Tell me.
20.
20% to Kate and 80% to Norman, right? As we saw before, could the whole income also be what? Declared and transferred to Norman? Because Kate is having income over and above the 37,700. If Norman has no other income, this could be transferred fully to Norman. Correct? That is how things work out in a what? Tell me. Environment like this. Correct? So can you do what? Tell me. इसके आगे का tax calculation. Total income में से what will you deduct? There is nothing to be deducted from total income. This total income is only net income. Correct? Same net income, cut copy paste. 45,380, 4,940 and कितना भाई? 50,320. Now, no details of GPPC, GGAD given. So how much will be the PA that is available? Tell me.
12,570.
12,570 fully deducted from where? First preference given to NSI. Minus 12,570. So how much is your taxable income? Can you tell me? Taxable income.
32,810.
37 कितना है? 37 or 36?
37,750.
Correct. 37,750. अब now 37,750 is your what? Tell me taxable income. Are you basic red band taxpayer, higher red band taxpayer, or additional red band taxpayer?
Higher.
Higher. So how much is the savings income nil red band available to you?
500.
500.
Correct. So will you do the tax calculation on your own? 32,810 at 20%. Then 4,950 में first 500 at what rate? Tell me. 0%. Then remaining sum at ऊपर का 50 at 45 or 40% and remaining at how much? Tell me. 20%. Will you be able to do it? Tell me. Any tension, query, problem, doubt? Tell me. Can I go ahead? Sure. So any problem? Now we have written this, but still let me get you or give you more examples, right? First write down ISA, that is ISA account. I am including it here only. ISA account. That is the full form is individual savings account. Individual savings account. I'll do this and then again come to what? Marriage allowance or this family what? Taxation में, right? Just taking ISA account for getting thoda sa off the grid, right? Now see, there is an individual. Every individual, right? Every individual, right, can transfer. There are two types of ISAs. You could draw this with me only. There is cash ISA and there is a stock ISA, right? From this stock ISA, you could do deposits, correct? And on that deposit, correct, you receive interest, right? This interest that you receive, and the yearly threshold limit for an ISA account, the money that you can transfer to an ISA account is 20,000 pounds per annum combined on cash plus stock ISA. That means what? Not 20, but 20 in total. You could do any formation. 20 cash, 0 stock. 18 cash, 2 stock. 16 cash, 4 stock. 14, 6, whatever it is. But maximum you can transfer how much? 20,000 pounds to an ISA or an individual, or in UK they like to call it ISA. Whatever you call it, correct? If you do any deposit through a cash ISA, the interest that you receive is exempt. Then if you buy any shares, correct, through the ISA, right, any dividend that you receive on the shares that you have brought through the ISA account, correct, is fully exempt. Now if you sell the shares, correct, then what will arise on that? CG arises on that, chargeable gains. That is also completely exempt. Correct? Have a look. So any investments made through an ISA account, the restriction of 20,000 pounds per annum, not more, not less, correct? 20,000. Up to 20,000 it is, right? Up to. It could be less than 20,000 as well, but it cannot be more than 20,000, right? So up to 20,000, whatever deposits you do, from which if you do any deposits or purchase any shares, any interest, dividend or CG arises or which arises from those shares or those deposits, correct? Interest from those deposits, dividend or CG from those shares will be completely exempt, correct? Makes sense? Have a look. Okay.
Sir, if it's more than 20,000,
More than 20,000, then those part of the deposits or shares, right, will not have that exemption available of what? Tell me. The interest, dividend and CG.
so only the extra will be taxed, not
Yes.
the first 20.
For the first 20,000, it will not be taxed. Above that 20,000, it will be what? Tell me. So whatever deposits you do after over and above the 20,000 pounds, उस पर का interest will not be exempt. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Makes sense. Now, let me give you one more example. Right. After this, I'll give you a small break. आ जाओ जरा. Example. Right. Hear out the example. Okay. Now see, this is Mr. A. This is A. Correct. Mr. A has savings income of, let's say, 2,000 pounds. How much? 2,000 pounds. Mrs. A has zero savings income. Right? Only keeping these two in mind, then this is taxable income that I'm talking about. And I give you a detail that both are basic rate band taxpayer. Correct? Both are what? Basic rate band taxpayer. What is the one thing that will come into your mind? This 2,000, so no, this 2,000 is received from an investment of 20,000 pound, correct? Not ISA, but normal investment, not ISA, right? Right? Not ISA. 20,000 ka investment that is done by Mr. A, on which he receives savings income of 2,000, right? And Mrs. A has zero what? Tell me. Savings income. What is one tax planning that you could do in this scenario? Tell me that. Can you do any tax planning?
Personal allowance, marriage allowance,
Personal
transfer.
allowance, marriage allowance, savings income. Now see, आराम से. You are a basic red band taxpayer. So how much is the savings income available to Mr. A? Or sorry, savings income nil red band available to Mr. A? Tell me. 1,000.
1,000.
How much is the savings income nil red band available to Mrs. A? 1,000. Correct. Now the investment is 20,000. Instead, if Mr. A gifts 10,000 worth of investment to Mrs. A, what will happen? 1,000 in the hands of Mr. A, 1,000 in the hands of Mrs. A. Both of them enjoy what? Savings income nil red band. Moja hai moja. Tell me yes or no. Can this be done? Yes. Same thing that we did here. If you remember, I had given you 10,000 savings income, 5,000 dividend income. Did I give you something like this? So what did I say? And 45,000, let's say, in the hands of Mr. A. Mrs. A only 5,000. Correct? So what did I say? You transfer how much? Tell me 10 and 15,000. Uski jagah pe, if you think about it, okay, you transfer 9,500 ka investment here and transfer 4,500 ka investment here. You can use the savings income nil red band, dividend income nil red band in the hands of Mr. A. You can utilize that and transfer only the remaining part to Mrs. A. Make sense? Chota sa tax planning, but will it say what? 500 pound into how much? 20 or 40% for your client? Tell me.
Yeah.
Yes. What do you say, everyone? Alvina, what do you say? Okay with it? Divank, समझ में आ रहा है बेटा?
Yes, sir.
Makes sense? Tell me. So that is nothing but what they have called, something called as equalization of income, right? Maximizing uses of what? Allowances, right? Then nil red bands, correct? Personal allowances, starting red band, nil red band, correct? And basic red bands, right? So sole ownership. So whenever you do an investment, now see, logically, whenever you do an investment, should you do it in your individual name or should you do it in a joint name with the spouse? Tell me. क्या करना चाहिए? What you should do? Let's say you are buying shares. Should you buy in your own name or should you buy the what? Tell me. Or even if you are opening a account, right? You should open a joint account, because what will happen? See, first law will say what? 50-50%. Now see here, आराम से. This 20,000 investment that you did was in the name of Mr. A only. So what happens? Now out of this certain shares you have to give to Mrs. A or whatever it is, right? But instead of that, if it was in the name of Mr. A and Mrs. A, correct? You would have said that, sir, out of the 2,000, no, right? Or out of the 20,000, 50-50% ownership is there, sir. So 1,000 shared or tax in the hands of Mr. A, 1,000 tax in the hands of Mrs. A. So always do what? Tell me, whenever you're doing an investment, should you do it only on your own name or should you do it on your spouse as well as your name? Tell me, so that the percentage can be decided every year. Tell me. Bolo, bolo.
Joint name.
Joint name. So here see, 10,000 ka whatever investment, right? If you had owned by two names, you would have told, sir, dekho, 95% Mrs. A is holding, 5% I am holding. So 500 pounds would be taxed here and 9,500 would be taxed here. Sir, here also same thing, 90% held by Mrs. A, right? So you do what? It is in joint name, right? If nothing given, 50-50, but you will always specify, sir, 90% in the hands of the spouse that is having lesser income and what? Other in the name of the spouse who's having maximum income. You can utilize nil red bands of both. Make sense or does not make sense? Tell me.
So they can change the percentage every
Yes,
year.
percentage change every year. You can do no problem. Every year you have to elect how much percentage to use. Correct?
Okay.
So is it okay? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
So write down tax planning. between spouses. Right? Generally, buy assets or do investments in joint names by default. 50% is to 50% ownership is there. But you can choose and communicate the percentage holding to HMRC with the view of tax planning. Where you can where you can where you can A, utilize the basic rate band between spouses. B, utilized savings income nil rate band and savings income starting rate band. C, utilize dividend income nil rate band. Okay with it? You need a break? Tell me. So do one thing. Take a break. 15 ka 20. How many minutes? Tell me quickly. 20 or 15? 15, 20. ठीक है चलो come back by 3:50. Stay in the meeting. Don't leave the meeting and go. Okay. Come back, guys, quickly. Aja. Are you all back?
Yes.
Chalo. So tell me, are you okay with whatever we did? Tell me. Tax planning. First lesson on what? Tax planning. Tell me. How to do tax planning, how to plan things between spouses, at least are we okay? And how the taxation of income of a child will happen.
Yes.
Quickly, let's go ahead. Tell me. With this, I think there is one question that is covered here. Can we try that one question on the last part that we have done? Aaja zara. Aaja. One good question that is there that we can discuss. आ गए क्या everyone back? Quickly. We'll start property income after this, right? Back, quickly come back. Have a look at this question. Kyria and Spence are a married couple. In the tax year 24-25, Kyria had earned an income of 2,000 and Spence 46,500, correct? They own property in joint names, but the cost was provided 80% by Spence and 20% by Kyria. A declaration is enforced to support the ownership percentage. Means, have you declared 80-20 ownership? Tell me. Yes. The annual income from the property is 20,000, correct? In addition, they also have a joint investment bank account with a cash balance of 35,000 that earns interest of how much? 800 pounds gross per annum. Calculate the taxable income from Kyria and Spence respectively and advise them of any income tax planning measures they should consider to reduce their liabilities for the future. Abhi simple, correct? See, if normally nothing is to be done, no tax planning is to be done, can you do the calculation? Tell me. Aja, can we do the calculation? So, have a look. Now see what I'll do. Okay. So we say what? Tell me. We have K and S, right? NSI, right? NSI may you have what? Married couple earned income. Okay. 46,000. They own a property in joint names, but the cost was provided 80%. Okay. A declaration. So now tell me, here for K, right? You have NSI may 46,500, correct? And for no, Spence has 46,000.
Spence has
So Spence has 46,500, correct? Then tell me about that property. How much will Spence get? Tell me. How much? 20% ownership is of 80% is of Spence. So 16,000 here, correct? And here it will be 2,000 and 4,000, no property income. Am I on the right track? Just check once.
Yes, sir.
Correct. And have a joint investment bank with a cash balance of 35,000. Earns interest of how much? Tell me. 800 gross. So 800 nothing given. If it is joint, what you will do? Tell me.
50-50.
I के अंदर 50-50. 400. 400. Correct. Have a look. Makes sense. Tell me. So how much would be the taxable income? Tell me. Directly total income ले लो और net income ले लो. Correct. Net income. How much is net income? Net income में से what will be deducted? Tell me. PA will be deducted.
Personal
Correct.
belongings.
So
K has a net income of 6,400.
and here it is how much? Tell me.
62,900.
So minus PA. Now there are two options, right? Here can you choose to transfer? Is there any unutilized PA in the name of or in the hands of K? Tell me. Correct or not? So what is to be done? What should I do? Tell me. Should we elect to transfer? Tell me. This is one of the tax planning that you could use. Have they told you to do any tax planning? Just have a look. Advise them to do, right? Correct. So we do what? Here 6,400 ka PA fully used. Here against this NSI, we use 12,570 PA. So now how much is the taxable income? Tell me. 0. And here how much will it be? Tell me.
50,330.
50,330. Correct. Any problem? On this calculate tax, right? Only on the 400, correct? You will have, so that will be 0 only, correct? So the remaining part that is there, out of this 400 taxed at what rate? 0%, because savings income nil bank, correct? And here remaining how much, Baba? Tell me. 49,930. ना? Correct? At what rate? उसमें से first 37,700 at 20% and remaining how much? Tell me.
12,230.
40%. Now what all would you recommend? Chalo, let's talk about what all would you recommend. ठीक है, question का solving is not that important. Here what is important? Advise them of any income tax planning measures. Advise them of any income tax planning measures. How do you advise them of any income tax planning measures? First planning measure would be what? Tell me. What would be the first planning measure? Tell me.
Transferring.
First would be PA transfer or MA as they call it, marriage allowance, right? That would be first thing. Anything else that you can tell him?
We can transfer, like Spence can transfer more to K.
More like property income.
Property income, which is 16:4, right?
Yeah.
So how much ever is going above? So this year, how much is going above the 37,700? Tell me. For K, how much is going above? Tell me. 12,230. Itna income can be transferred to whom? Tell me. This income can be transferred to whom?
K.
Here you are paying at 40%. If you had transferred that much ownership into that property to your spouse, then would you save tax? At 20%. Directly at 20% you can save tax. That is what your recommendation would be. Is the savings income okay with you, or savings income में problem है? Tell me. Savings income of 400. right?
It's okay.
It's
I
okay.
don't think so.
Yes,
Both
sir.
ways it is okay. But if savings income was higher, correct? Let's say it was 5,000-10,000. What you would have done? Where you would transfer? Both had 5,000. What you do? Tell me.
Sir, because K is basic rate band taxpayer, so she'll
Hmm.
get 1,000 at 0%.
Yes. And what about starting rate band? Because everything will be used in PA. होता कि नहीं? Tell me.
हाँ, वो भी होता.
वो भी होता. So both the things would have happened. Correct. So are you okay with whatever we have done? Tell me. Can we go ahead? Tell me. Property income. ठीक है.
PA available would be 11,000.
11,310. Yes.
So we can even transfer more to
Yes.
cover complete PA.
Everything can be done. A lot of things can be done.
बट सर
ठीक है.
इसमें एमए नहीं दे सकते क्योंकि इसमें बेसिक रेट बैंड भी नहीं आएगा ना.
हाँ, बेसिक रेट बैंड टैक्स पेयर नहीं है ना, तो एमए दे पाओगे क्या? नहीं दे पाओगे. तो हैव अ लुक.
After we transfer, won't it become basic rate band?
नहीं 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 नहीं. हैव अ लुक. हाउ मच इज योर टैक्सेबल इनकम? टेल मी. 50,330. Are you a basic higher or additional rate band taxpayer? Tell me. No. But हाँ, you saying that if you transfer 16,000 का certain part year, correct no? और full 16,000 year, then 50,000 minus 60,000, 16,000 हो गया तो 34,330 हो जाएगा क्या? Tell me. In that case, will you be able to transfer? But here, that MA will be fully used, no? Then MA transfer का option ही नहीं है. See, here if 16,000 is taxed, तो ये 6,400 plus 16,000 होगा. Now, will there be any unutilized PA? No. So, can you transfer MA? No. समझ रहा है? What do you say, Arshvi? Are you okay?
Yes, sir.
Makes sense. So, a lot of things. See, I am not saying that you write what as a pinpointed theory I cannot give you, but a lot of options are open for you to write. Tell me yes or no. Right. Okay. Can I go ahead? Tell me. Makes sense. Sure. So now what I'll do is individual taxation हो गया ना. I'll now add a section. What is that section all about? अभी क्या करते हैं? Property income. So we have a proper notes, property income and investment income दोनों लगा लेते हैं. Correct. Right. Are you okay with it? Have a look. Can we go ahead? Property income. Give a heading property income. Now we can to do this from the old notes also. Correct. Property income. अरे हाँ, one thing we forgot now. One or two things that are left. I also forgot. QIP. Do you remember QIP? Individual taxation में end में ले लेता हूँ. QIP. आ जाओ. QIP. Qualifying interest payments. We forgot no. It has been given in most of the books. Correct. तो QIP निपटा लेते हैं. What are qualifying interest payments? Have you heard about qualifying interest payments anywhere? Tell me. Not a lot of classes cover it. UK tax not being asked much, right? Have a look. Qualifying interest payment, is it visible to you? Tell me. QIPs. You write QIPs or qualifying interest payments and say what? Refer notes, right? So what are qualifying interest payments? Now here, can anyone tell me what is this all about? Qualifying interest payments. Qualifying interest payments.
Um,
Hmm.
Relief given, this is what I've written number 4. Relief given on interest paid to finance qualifying purpose.
So now see, let's say, now see, I have a proprietorship right now, correct? I am a proprietor of what? Super Infinity Education, correct? But now let's consider a scenario, a different scenario. Let's say we form a partnership. Me and one more faculty, we form a partnership, right? And we decide that boss, he will also do classes, I will also do classes, okay? So he says that boss, if we have to do classes, now I have a setup here. No one has seen my setup, okay? So my setup is one laptop, one screen, one video camera, one light, one hub, one writing pad, keyboard, mouse, what your tripod stand, mobile, everything is there on this table, right? So all this cost me somewhere around which 35,000, right? Everything, screen win, everything, right? So let's say if I had done this properly and if I had bought thoda sa महंगा वाला everything in Apple or something of that sort, it would have costed 2.5 lakh rupees to me, which is done in what? 35,000, right? So let's say 2.5 lakh rupees I want to invest in my technology, right? And for that, right, I take a loan, right? So for doing my job as a partner in the partnership firm, right, I am taking a loan for buying a plant and machinery. Obviously, both the partners are going to teach, right? Both the partners are going to buy what? Tell me. Some plant and machinery. Obviously, this laptop, screen, everything, is it plant and machinery for my company? Tell me. Or for my partnership? Yes. Will I get depreciation on this? Yes. Right? All this is there. Correct? So what will happen? They will give what? Tell me. In all the things, right? I will take a loan to buy all these plant and machinery. The loan amount is not a deduction, but the interest that I pay on that loan is a deduction. That is one example of it. Second example, right? Now the opposite person says, Dekho sir, if you and me have to come into partnership, right? You have to bring in 5 lakh rupees, I will bring in 5 lakh rupees, correct? I don't have 5 lakh rupees with me. So what do? Even if I have, I will not do business with my own money, correct? Because I will always borrow from bank for my business, correct? So what do? For capital contribution into the partnership firm, I go to what? Tell me, the bank and borrow money. The borrowing amount is not the deduction, but the qualifying interest payment on that is the deduction. Correct or not? Have a look. Then what happens? Now see, like me, there are 5-10 other faculties that come up. Sir, we want to all work with you. Correct? So instead of partnership, now let's do a company, which is a employee owned company. Employee owned company means what? Tell me. We all 10 are going to own the company and we all 10 are only working. Correct? It is a company where all the owners are working in the company. So I hold 10%, other 9 faculties hold 10, everyone holds 10%. Correct? So interest payment on loan taken by employee. Correct? So if in that, now they say, sir, we 35,000, you take a very good setup. You invest 2-3 lakh rupees or 5 lakh rupees on the setup. I'm like, okay, I take a loan for that. Correct? The loan amount is not deductible, but the what? Tell me. What is deductible? Tell me. The interest that I pay on the loan that I take to buy plant and machinery. Or if they tell that boss, you have to purchase shares, right? You have to invest money in the business, 10-20 lakh rupees per partner, right? And for purchase of share of an employee owned company as a full-time employee, right? If you are purchasing shares, for purchasing share, if you are taking a loan, the interest on that loan is a qualifying interest payment. Are you okay with this? Tell me yes or no. Okay. Any problem? Tell me. Should I go ahead? एक मिनट. One thing that is left is that royalties वाला part. आजा. Royalties paid for business. Write down. Royalties paid for business. by individual. Now, what is the situation here? Two things. Only a basic introduction of this is given, correct? Not a lot in detail given. Now, if you remember, right, when we talked about what? Tell me, royalties. Now, see, what are royalties paid for business purpose by individual, right? Now, understand, simple, right? You are going to take a what? Possibly you have all these franchises. Do you know franchise option? Correct. So in Pune, there is a very big brand, right? Called as Yevle Chai, right? I don't know whether you know it or not, right? They earn 1 lakh rupees per month as profit, correct? So they had reported somewhere around 12 lakh, 14 lakh rupees as profit, correct? And then everybody started taking franchise of that brand, right? So what do these brand people do? They charge royalties to you. What do they charge? Royalties are charged, correct? So they, what they do, they tell you that you take a shop on rent, okay, you pay the rent, right? All the other setup, that is right from your furniture and everything, right, we will guide you, because a very important aspect of brand or brand identity is having the same kind of furniture, same kind of interiors in every shop that is there. Example, McDonald's. You go anywhere in the world, what are the two colors that McDonald's uses, or three colors that McDonald's uses? Yellow, red, white. You see the logo in what? Red background and yellow M written, correct? So those are attractive colors, right? Which, then you know how these colors were used? Tell me. First time, right? McDonald's did a lot of survey and found out that when they have a highway or a what? Outlet, which if they put up a big pole, and on that pole if they put up a red and yellow sign, it is easily visible from the roads. So they use that theme to catch attraction of people, right? Whenever you go to a mall, correct, you must have seen, right, two things. One is what? You have that fragrance of food being prepared, right? And second is what? You see those colors and you get attracted to it, right? ऐसा ही होता है. That is how things are, right? So royalties paid for business by individual. Somewhere Yevle Chai. Yevle Chai has white and brown as their theme. Someone has red and yellow. All those things go on. But now let's say you are paying royalties. Obviously, if you are paying royalties and your business works on that royalties, it is an allowable deduction from your self-employment income. Write down, it's an allowable expense. Allowable expense, right? From TATP, tax adjusted trading profit, or for right now you can say income from self-employment. We are going to go there, correct? Now see, you have something called as TDS in India. The same thing applies for royalties. Same thing applies for what? Royalties. So for royalties, TDS is deducted and amount is paid, correct? So how does that happen? There are two types of liabilities or two types of royalties that they have discussed, correct? Now see, generally, right, how royalties are taxed, right? There are two types of royalties. एक हो गया पेटेंट रॉयल्टीज एंड एक हो गया कॉपीराइट रॉयल्टीज. Patent royalty and copyright royalty. What is copyright and patent? Any idea? Tell me. Thoda sa let's talk about this also. 2 minutes. Patent and copyright. Are they different or are they same? Tell me. Patents. You have a patent formula of something. Patented formula for something.
Patent is no one else can use it.
So you have what? You yourself are the owner of the patent, right? And no one else, if someone tries to copy your patent without your what? Approval, can you take legal action against that person? Yes. Copyright is what? Tell me. It is your original work, correct? And you are giving right of copying to someone, right? It is generally in the publication field, right? So if I write a book, let's say if I write an FM or AFM or tax or ATX book, and I partner with some publication, right? And I print the book, I give what? All my IP to him for copywriting. So what will he do? On the first page, he will write that this intellectual property, what is basically intellectual property of Mr. Chinmay Shah, right? Aisa he will write on the first page, right? And then he will say, we as publishers have only have the copyright. He will pay a royalty to me. Every book that is sold, he will sell all the books. Every book that is sold, I will get certain percentage as royalty. Correct or not? So whenever you pay royalty, right? No TDS concept, write down. Full 100% can be paid. But when it comes to patent royalties, two parts will happen. 80% paid to owner, 20% tax to be deducted, and paid to HMRC. So hear me out. If I am giving books ka copyright to someone and 10,000 is the what? Fees or royalty that is decided. Example I'm telling you. He will pay full 10,000 to me. But if it is a patent or royalty or patent royalty that I'm giving to you, where you are using what? Tell me. The patent ka what? The new or the formula that is there, which is a secret formula that I've given you, correct? In that case, 10,000 if it is the patent, 80% you will pay me, and on my behalf, 20% tax you will deduct and pay to HMRC. Correct or not? Have a look. Here 100% paid to be paid to owner. But when it comes to patent royalties, 80% will be paid to the owner, right? And on his behalf, tax of 20% is deducted and paid to HMRC. So let's say I am the owner of the patent, right? I will get 8,000, correct? But taxable amount will be 10,000. And 2,000 ka tax ka what? Credit I will get. So write down below this example. Example. Mr. A is a patent holder who Mr. B pays 8,000 pound to Mr. A, net of 20% tax. Therefore, the amount of royalty taxed is 8,000 divided by 18 to 100. 10,000 pound. This is gross patent royalty taxed. And इसके दो पार्ट करो. 8,000 received by Mr. A and 2,000 paid by Mr. B as tax to HMRC on behalf of Mr. A or in the credit of Mr. A. Okay, have a look. So whenever in a question, if it says royalty or patent royalty received 8,000, how much will be taxable? 8,000 or 10,000? Tell me. Taxable is 10,000 in the hands of Mr. A. Correct? But how much did he receive? 8,000. And how much credit of income tax will he get? 2,000, which is paid on his behalf to HMRC by the patent royalty user or patent user, whatever you want to say. Okay, have a look. So net is 8,000, gross is 10,000, 2,000 is the tax that is paid. Okay with it? In Mr. A's computation, royalty, right, will be taxed at 10,000, correct? As NSI, non-savings income. So write down below this note, in hands of Mr. A, in hands of Mr. A, 10,000 royalty will be taxed as NSI. In the hands of Mr. A, 10,000 royalty will be taxed. ठीक है क्या? Make sense? Then let's go to property income.
So, child benefit is not there.
No, it is not there. Not that much importance given in ATX.
Okay.
Killer topic of UK tax. Any whichever way it is child chiller, correct? Killer child, right? Property income. You have three ways property income is taxed, right? You have normal property income. Then you have something called as short lease premium. Correct. Last but not the least, you have a rent-a-room. But now one more thing that is added is your was there at UK tax level also. Furnished holiday accommodation. We have done the what? Tell me. Definition of FHA in what? Tell me. UK tax. Again, that definition is there, and we will go ahead and do other things as well. Now, can we do short lease premium and rent-a-room relief first? Because we have half an hour, 35 minutes. In that, we can complete this. Now, what is short lease premium? How does short lease premium work out? Do you remember short lease premium? There is variable portion of lease, and there is what? Tell me. Capital portion of the lease. Tell me. याद है कुछ? Tell me short lease premium. Now, how these payments or how these premiums or how these lease premiums work out? Hear me out. Okay. Now see why the short lease premium became very famous, right? Now see, rent is taxed, correct? Now see how it works out. So let's say you went to a commercial shop owner or a residential shop owner, correct? A residential flat owner, whatever it is, right? You sit in front of that person. Let's say for example, it is a commercial property, okay? You are going to start your business there, right? You start your business and you see that you take the property first for rent. 11 months or whatever, 6 months or 11 months, you take it on rent, correct? You take it on rent. Now, when it comes out or when it is discussed, you see that boss, after 6 months or a year, your business is working very good at that area. So you decide that boss, now next 4 or 5 years I will run this business, correct? But what does this person do, right? He comes and tells you that boss, he also sees, no, your business is running nicely. He says, boss, now 10,000 pounds you are giving every year. Now next year you give 12,000 pounds. Now your business has started running. Can you say no to this? Tell me. No. So this is the problem that most of the commercial shop owners face. So what does the commercial shop owner say? That boss, instead of doing this yearly jig, correct? Let's do one thing. Keep your rent 10,000 only. How much? 10,000 only. I'll give you one-time premium for what? Tell me. Occupying your property for 11 years or 20 years, whatever you want to say. I'll pay $200,000 to you. How much? $200,000 to you one time. Instead of increasing this rent, or you increase your rent by 2-5% every year, that is okay. But you cannot say 20-30% every year, correct? Because I'm giving you one time short lease premium. Premium for using the property for XYZ months. Will rent be paid over and above the premium? Yes. Rent will be, but he says, then you say that boss, then rent cannot be 10,000. The rent has to be lowered because I am paying one big amount to you, correct? So rent instead of 10,000 will become 8 or 7,000 because you are paying 200,000 lease premium. That means, tell me, because of the 200, and did you reduce your rent component? Tell me. Yes. So in this 200,000, there is some revenue component and there is some what? See, when you say premium, it is a kind of a deposit, correct or not? For using the property or for occupying the property for 20 years. But it has flavor of both capital as well as revenue. So capital part is what? At the end of the 20 years, you will repay back the capital part because it is deposit. But the revenue part should be taxed, right? So now looking from both point of view, looking from owner point of view, correct? That 200,000 that he receives in one go, correct? Out of that, certain part is variable, certain part is what? Capital. That variable part will be taxed in the hands of the owner. Simple and sweet, correct? So write down short lease premium. Write down next heading, short lease premium. You have two things, correct? You have owner point of view or owner taxation and tenant taxation.
सर
Both will cover here. हाँ,
तो टाइम पीरियड क्या होगा शॉर्ट लीज का?
sorry. हाँ, it will be less than 50 years. See now long lease. What are long lease? Let's talk about long lease as well. Right? Short lease will always be less than 50 years. Correct? Now, what are long leases? Have you heard about long leases ever? Tell me. Long lease. Have you heard about the term long lease? Tell me. Any idea of what is long lease? Tell me. Have you seen the movie मुन्ना भाई MBBS? MBBS नहीं, कौन सा था रे वो? लगे रहो मुन्ना भाई. Have you seen the movie लगे रहो मुन्ना भाई? In that, there is a disputed what? Property between Mr. Munna and whoever the builder is, correct? That is the what? वो heroine का heroine's what? Bungalow, right? Do you see in that when they go to Goa, right? They seal the property. The BMC guys seal the property. They say that the lease of the property has expired. You have not what? Tell me. Renewed the lease, and hence the BMC is taking over the property. Bombay Municipal Corporation is taking over the property. Correct or not? Now, what are these long leases? See, long lease is basically you have sold the property. Correct? Generally, in 99 years lease is done, right? But now why the lease system came up? Understand? all these properties were owned by government, right? Owned by whom? Government. And government wants to lease this property or wants to sell this property to people, right? But it is not selling or not giving what? Full rights to the person. It is giving what? It is giving only right to use the property for 99 years. But when I say 99 years, correct, it is as good as a sale to that one person. Probably his second or third generation will not be able to enjoy the property, correct or not? But if he comes and renews the lease, where the lease premium or long lease may the lease premium is very small, correct? If you see in Pune, there are leased properties, correct? Long lease properties, which have around 12 rupees, 10 rupees worth of what? Lease premium to be paid monthly. Certain are even 1 or 2 rupees monthly, correct? So it is just a mere formality, because at the start you have done what? Payment for the what? Land and everything, or whatever the property is in question. So long lease is generally 99 years or 999 years. Now the concept of 999 years have come up, because Britishers did a lot of lease, you know, na? Around 2000 to 2015 or 2010, Britishers did a lot of leases in 1900s, correct? 1901 to 1910. All those leases expired somewhere around 2000 2010. So you see a lot of municipal corporations taking over the property of people, right, who were leased the property for 99 years, because 1901 and 2000 it ended, no, right? So there was a lot of chaos for the first 10 years, and a lot of people lost their property. They did not know only that the lease should be renewed, right? And the lease was not renewed. Same thing happened with what? The Munna Bhai Lage Raho Munna Bhai wala concept, correct? That is how long lease, right? It gives you ownership, but only for 99 years, right? After 99 years, it is revoked and it comes back to the original owner, correct? But short lease is what? Less than 50 years. Ownership is not given. You are going to just use the property for 10, 20 years, correct? So in the short lease premium, there is a clause, right, that the owner or the tenant will only be an occupier of property, right? Not the owner of property. In India, तो और भी complex laws है. Even if you have a leased property, सुनो, rented property if you have, and if you are staying in that property for more than 25 to 30 years, correct? You can claim to be owner of the property. Hey, India, welcome to India. है कि नहीं? There is actually property in Pune, I know, where people are just giving rent of 12 13 rupees, correct? And staying, it is the third generation that is staying on rented in that property. When they were asked to leave because they wanted to demolish the property, they did a case on the owner, and the case is still going on, and the property is still, it's a prime property, very close to city hub, right? And the tenants are not vacating it. So in India में rent का बहुत problem है. Have you seen or have you not seen? I don't know. But one of my relative, abhi, now there is a lot of cases of rent going on. Do you know? In Mumbai, there is a special court for only rental related what? Disputes. Now there is a new technique. What is the technique? I'll tell you, right? You take something on rent, okay? 11 months, or you do a what? Tell me. A rent agreement for 3 years or 5 years. Because see, now you as an owner, correct? Now let's say I have a property in Mumbai. I'm staying in Pune. So it's not possible for me to every time go to the property, right? Or every year go and renew the lease. So I do a 3-year or a 5-year lease, correct? 3-year or a 5-year lease, once I have done, after 3 years, right, I ask for additional rent or whatever it is, right? And that opposite person either says, okay, Baba, I will pay, or either says, I will not pay, correct? If he says, I will not pay, right, legally, I have no recourse of removing him from my property. If he decides to stay after that, he can stay rent free. Because what he will do? He will file a case against me, right? That I am pressurizing him to evict the property, right? I have one relative whose case is going on in Mumbai, right? He's from Delhi, right? So he has to come every 2 months to Mumbai, right? He said that how much ever rent I was receiving, more than 3 times expense has been incurred coming from Delhi to Mumbai, going from Mumbai to Delhi. that opposite person knows he's not going to come and stay here, right? He is just occupying the property. They have literally talked with Commissioner of Police Mumbai, right? They are not able to get that person evicted because the law protects the tenant, right? So if you have property in other city and if you are renting it out, right, please be aware, right? Take care of your property. Coming back to short lease premium, है कि नहीं? Short lease premium में owner taxation, obviously owner will what? Receive the short lease premium, which will have certain part of what? Revenue, certain part of what? Tell me. Capital. So how to take out? So taxable part in the hands of the owner will be revenue component, correct? So the lease premium received, LP received amount is there. How will you find the capital component? Minus capital component of lease. This is the formula given by whom? The tax authorities. Capital component of lease. How will you find it? The lease premium received into 2% into n is nothing but the number of years of lease, n minus 1 into 2% into n minus 1. This will give you some amount. This is capital part, right? And then you can say whatever is remaining part, right? This is nothing but the revenue component of lease, right? This will be taxed fully in the hands of taxed when received in the hands of tenant, in the hands of owner. Taxed fully लिखो, fully important word है. Taxed fully when received in the hands of owner. Correct? Leave this space for some time. We'll do one example. Then we'll write about tenant ka taxation. Okay. हो गया क्या? Have you written this down? Tell me.
Yes.
Let me go ahead. Tell me. Yeah. So example right now. The right side keep some space for the tenant ka taxation. Correct? So example write down. Mr. A has leased his property for 82,000 pounds premium. Leased his property for 82,000 pound premium. Correct? For a period of 14 years. He received the lease premium on 1st of January 2025. Right? So lease premium is taxed on, or rent income is always taxed on cash basis when it is received. Correct? He received the lease premium on 1/1/2025. Calculate the tax payable. Tax payable name. Calculate the lease premium taxed as property income in the hands of Mr. A for which tax year? 24-25. that is applicable to you. Right? So lease premium received is how much? Tell me. 82,000 minus. Find out the capital component of lease. How will you calculate capital component? 82,000 into 2% into n minus 1. N is how many years is the lease for? Tell me. 14 minus 1.
14.
26% of 82,000 will be what? Not taxed, but remaining will be taxed. How much is the revenue component of lease? How much is it?
21320.
21320. How much is the revenue component then?
60680.
Now what will happen? Now see, logically what has happened? Have a look. Hear me out. The owner has received the lease premium. The tenant has paid full 82,000. Correct. Owner के हाथ में taxation of 60,680. Correct. That means logically 60,680 should be allowed as an expense to this tenant. Yes or no? The rent that you pay is allowed as a deduction from your profits. But will the premium of 60,000 or the revenue component of what? 60,680 be allowed as a deduction from the hands of the tenant? Yes or no? Tell me. Logically, what should happen? Write down. Write down, I'll dictate. Here, write down note. Logically, 60,680 pounds. Logically, 60,680 pounds. Logically, 60,680 pounds is taxed in the hands of owner. Is taxed in the hands of owner, comma, is taxed in the hands of the owner, comma. Same should be allowed as a deduction. Allowed as a deduction from TATP. Same should be allowed as a deduction from TATP to the tenant. To the tenant. In bracket, that is 60,680. Same should be allowed to the tenant as a deduction from TATP. Correct. Or should be allowed as a deduction from TATP to the tenant. That is 60,680. Next line, but law has different way of looking at it. Law has a different way of looking at it. So how does it happen? Have a look. So now what is the law saying? Hear me out. It is saying 60,680, no? Correct. Full deduction not available. How many years will the lease work? Tell me. 14 years. So yearly, how much deduction will you get? Tell me. Yearly, how much deduction will you get?
4334.
Right? And in tax year 24-25, how many months is the lease used for? Have a look. Or when is the lease entered? Tax year 24-25 में how many months? 1st January को lease entered, correct? So in 24-25, how many months lease is used? Tell me.
3.
3 months. So per year 4334, but in this year only 3/12 used. So how much will be the deduction that will be available to the tenant? Tell me.
1084.
084. So write down below whatever you have written below. Write down calculate. Calculate calculate lease expense allowed to tenant in tax year. Calculate the lease expense allowed to tenant for tax year 24-25. You can show this calculation. Injustice, tell me. Taxation करते वक्त full 60,680, but while giving deduction full 60,680 given? No. 60,680 divided by n, that is number of years. So how will I write this? Have a look in the table. How will I update it? So I will say this amount I have to pick up, correct, and bring it here for the tenant, correct. So I will say revenue component of lease divided by n. N you bring for year, number of years of lease, multiplied by what should I do? M I am writing is what? Number of months lease is effective by 12 in tax year, or better wait, I'll write it in a better way. M is equal to what? Number of months lease is effective in tax year by 12. Okay with this? Any problem? Tell me. Okay with this? Tell me. N is number of year of lease. M is what? Number of months lease is effective in tax year. Okay. Can we go ahead? Or we'll wait here, because then again going into rent a room relief will be not done in 10 minutes, and I don't want to stretch it along 5 p.m. because today we have done enough, right? ठीक है, चलो, then we'll wrap it up for today, right? Today you have one homework that I've given you, correct? You can do that as well as revise everything, right? So probably next weekend, right, we'll start solving questions from your next week के आसपास start solving questions from your other, right? First individual taxation that is there, we'll complete quickly now, right? Once this is done, right, we can go ahead and do the working there. So what I'll do, property income, I already have the notes, right? I'll get the notes from there and quickly do it. Okay. Chalo, then we can sign off for today. We'll meet tomorrow at 2 p.m. Till then, bye bye. Take care of your health. Right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.